Just want to say a pleasant good afternoon to those of you tuning in live on Global 99.5 Cable TV 974. Truly, there's power in Jesus to break every chain. And so, whatever the chains you're faced with today, we welcome those of you tuning in live on Global 99.5. We here every Sunday, 4 to 5, Cable TV 974, all the way we say on radio and TV, from Grand Bahama in the north to Inagua in the south. You can join us also by listening Facebook, YouTube, as well as Zoom. Our WhatsApp line 433-6917. And I wish those of you a very pleasant Sunday afternoon. It's a blessing to be alive today. Just want to remind those of you listening, especially those on the radio and television, we will begin our first community walkabout tomorrow in the Montel Heights community. So we will meet at the park in Montel Heights 5:30 tomorrow afternoon. And so we're inviting all of you not to meet us there. As usual, you know, you ought to meet us there. So that's 5:30 tomorrow, Montel Heights Park. We will be conducting our community walkabout. As you know, that's an opportunity to talk with young people, in particular, our young men, to share with them the gospel, to share with them other positive information, and to share with them the alternative for gang violence in this country. And this will be led by Dr. Carlos Reed and a group called the Brotherhood in partnership with Prison Fellowship Bahamas, Apostle Henry Higgins and Creative Christian Arts Ministry, GRIP. Also, Real Men with Wisdom, also Kano Wong and the Neighborhood Watch Council. And any other male group that you are part of, if you wish to, you can join us on this walkabout in the Montel Heights community. Also, I want to remind you, they have what they call a prayer in the square. That's this coming Wednesday. And so they're inviting persons to come out, be a part of it. That's this coming Wednesday at Rawson Square, 6 to 8 p.m. Folks, as we begin the new year, free in 2023, free in Christ in 2023, we always begin the segment because we recognize true freedom cannot begin outside of a relationship with Christ. And so we have what we call 5 minutes of moments with Christ. That's always led by Dr. Leslie McMillan. Dr. McMillan, welcome to the program, Transforming Lives.
Good afternoon, Dave, and to everybody on the platform on this third Sunday in 2023. This is the moment that we can reflect on the fact that in Jesus Christ, we can be free at all times in 2023. And as was mentioned by Dave, which is the theme, that Jesus can break every chain. Now, let me say that the greatest chain that the human species or the human being has on this planet is the fact that each of us, we're chained to sin and the penalty of sin, which is eternal death. But Jesus Christ is the one that frees us, and the only one that can free us from that particular chain. And so I want to recommend to you on this third Sunday that each of us be sure that we are connected to Christ by faith. In that way, we are free, and free indeed, from the enemy, the devil, for that's how we are tied in with the punishment, you see. Not being in Christ, then we become servants of the devil, his children, as he said in John, when he says, if the Son shall set you free, you shall be free indeed. And so let's enjoy this freedom, and the byproduct of that particular freedom is that he takes care of every other thing. financial, health, whatever your challenges may be, then Jesus Christ takes care of those. So may this program assist as you get knowledge and pointers and information that can help you enjoy that freedom in Christ. Good afternoon and enjoy Him.
Thank you, Dr. Mark. As always, as usual, we know the challenge when we deal with technology, but we thank you for reminding us that the greatest transformation that can take place, the greatest freedom that takes place, comes through a relationship with Jesus Christ, not a church, not a denomination, but a relationship with Christ. Be free in 2023. That's a good thing. And so, folks, on this program today, Transforming Lives, as you know, we seek to share the information. We're inviting you to call person, text them, WhatsApp them. The number to send in your questions to my guests, the WhatsApp line, 433-6917, 433-6917. Someone says, good day. Look like that's my co-host. So that means my co-host is on today. It's good to have you, Jackie. In 2023, I trust that you are free yourself in 2023. Let me just introduce you to my guests, and then I'm going to ask my co-host to introduce herself when my guest is finished, and she can ask some questions. I have some questions also, because this subject that my guests are going to talk about is very dear to my heart, very dear to my heart. And so my guest, for folks today, is a young lady whom I had the privilege of spending my Christmas, New Year's with. I get to know her husband. He's a doctor. They reside actually in New York. And I got an opportunity to spend time with them over the holiday period. They were able to help me fulfill one of my dreams, which was to go into New York City. And the opportunity to see where the World Trade Center was, to see the new World Trade Center, to go into Central Park. Also, where else did we go? Oh, in Times Square, where the ball is dropped. I had the opportunity on New Year's Day to be in Times Square and many other places in New York where I always dreamed of, yes, in my 50 plus years. And today, God gave me that opportunity to fulfill that obligation. But my guest today, because we have a limited time, Cleon Johnson is a dietitian, author, writer, and podcaster. I had an opportunity to be on a podcast. She interviewed me. She also gave me copies of a book, 3 books she has written. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Dietetics and a Master's in Public Health from Andrews University in Michigan, and now works as a registered dietitian. She started writing short stories, yes, I read that, and poetry to express her feelings, and found writing to be a safe haven through a podcast, Beauty of Colors, and you can look at that at Facebook and on the various social media. The author of Love My Colors, Beauty of Colors Poems, and Beauty of Life 101 Inspirational Quotes. I had an opportunity to read that also during my train ride and during my ride at the airport and on the plane. She loved to inspire people and listen to their stories. Deep in her heart, she believed everyone has a story to help change someone's lives. Thus, her podcast has become a medium for others to share their stories and expectation. When she's not busy working on her next literary project or helping others make a healthy food choices, Cleon enjoys cooking. And ladies and gentlemen, I had the benefit of enjoying Cleon's cooking for at least a week. Now, in her case, she's strictly vegetarian, okay? Strictly vegan. I had the opportunity. She loves hiking, reading, sewing, and encouraging people from all different ethnicities that they are special, unique, and beautiful. That's Cleon Johnson. Cleon, I want to welcome you to Nassau, Bahamas via the Zoom platform. I know you have been here about 2 or 3 times, along with your husband, who's actually a Bahamian. Welcome, Cleon. I will send the questions to Jackie. So you maybe want to tell us a little about diabetes, about what you do, and then Jackie's going to ask you some questions. Welcome, Cleon.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me on the show. It's such a pleasure to be on the show.
Wonderful, wonderful. So talk to us about your work you do. What is diabetes? And, just give us a little, maybe even 10, 15 minutes, and then Jackie's going to ask you some questions, and we'll open it to the audience also to ask their questions.
Well, Dave, as you said, I'm a dietitian, a registered dietitian. I have been a dietitian for 9 years, a little bit over 9 years. I do work with different clients with chronic disease, and diabetes is one thing that's dear to my heart. I also work with the elderly in a long-term care facility, and I do have my own practice, and I do have clients come in where I do nutrition plans for them and teach them how to count their carbohydrates at every meal, talk about physical activity, and just help them make better food choices in order to live longer and to have a more healthier lifestyle.
You want us to just go ahead and ask the questions then? Well, first let's talk about, because you talked about, I know you mentioned about pre-diabetic. Tell us what pre-diabetic and what is diabetic. Tell us the difference in the two of them.
Well, pre-diabetes, as it says pre, the person doesn't have diabetes, but the person can prevent themselves from getting to the stage of diabetes. Now, somebody who's diabetic, this person has diabetes. What happened is that two things can happen. One is that the body doesn't produce enough insulin, or the insulin that has been produced, the body cannot use it efficiently. So there are different types. There is type 1 diabetes and there's type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is the most common diabetes around the world. Now, as we know, diabetes is a chronic illness. It's long life, and it's a condition that we can actually prevent. It's a serious health problem in today's world. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, amputations, heart disease, and the list goes on if your diabetes is not controlled. But we can learn to manage our diabetes and live a healthier lifestyle. Some of the common risk factors for diabetes are a family history of diabetes, a lack of physical activity, being overweight, being over the age of 40, 44, 45, being African American, Caribbean, Native American, Hispanic, and having a history of gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes is when women are pregnant, and usually they do have, during their second trimester, they usually do have gestational diabetes. And that can be, in the long run, they can have type 2 diabetes if they don't control what they eat.
Okay, so quickly, and before Jackie come in and answer questions, I'm just going to ask this one question, and this literally I'm talking about me, and this would just happen. So this is a true question. Cleon, for dinner, I had macaroni, I had potato salad, I had rice. Of course, I had my veggie meat. I see that expression on your face, Cleon. That ain't good. And then I had my coleslaw. Because you talk about counting your calories or your carbs. So what does that mean for me now for the rest of the day? Does that mean now for me, I'm talking about me, does that mean I must not eat anything for the rest of the day, just drink water? Because the doctor tells me, talking about David Williams, that I am predisposed to diabetics or diabetes because it is in my family. That's the only question I can ask, and I can let Jackie ask the rest.
Okay, Dave. Well, you said you had, what you're telling me that on your plate, you had a lot of carbohydrates. What happened is that with diabetic, when everybody has to have 3 meals a day, because it takes at least 3 to 4 hours for your stomach to empty its content. So everybody should eat every 3 to 4 hours. Now, somebody with diabetes should eat every 3 to 4 hours. People with diabetes cannot just have one meal a day. You have to eat carbohydrates. Now, we have to do it in moderation and balance, okay? You can't have all your carbohydrates at one sitting, like just have all your carbohydrates for lunch and then you have no carbohydrates for dinner. Carbohydrates are energy foods. We all need it. Our cells need it and our brain need it to function. So let's get back to what you said, Dave. So you had macaroni and cheese, you had rice, and you
Yes.
had...
I had a potato salad. I had coleslaw.
Okay. And what was your protein?
Well, I know that. I tell you, that's what I had. Rice with macaroni, potato salad, and coleslaw. That was my meal. And then I drink water after that.
Okay. So what I can encourage is that when you're having carbohydrates, you need to have protein with that. Because when you do have protein, it helps to keep you full longer. If you just have carbohydrates, you're going to be hungry in the next hour. Because as I said, carbohydrates are energy foods. So you need to have protein with that. So, and it also depends on how much of the macaroni you had, the rice and the potato salad.
But
So
I had
how
a big
much
plate.
did you have?
I had a big plate of it. I'm telling you. So that's why I want to know now if I should eat anything else for the rest of the day or just drink water until tomorrow morning.
What you should have done, Dave, is you should have taken that meal and you should have broken it down and have that for lunch and have some of the same one you had for dinner. So you still need to eat because you're going to be hungry.
Oh, okay, thanks. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Jackie. Welcome. Good to have you and Happy New Year.
Thank you so very much. I'm trying to adjust my lights. Can you see me?
Yeah, we got you clear.
Oh, okay. That's great. It is good to be on the show. It's 2023. I've not been on the show since 2023. So I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I love the theme that we've adopted for 2023. Free. I say being free in 2023. That's an excellent theme. And one of the ways that we can set ourselves free is by ensuring that we have good health. So this is an excellent, I'm so glad to have a guest, and I know that she's able. I heard you spoke about her ability and how, you had such an excellent time, ate great food when you were visiting the US. And so I'm happy to have such an esteemed guest on the show today. So just going into some of our questions. What is the impact of diabetes on the body, especially our heart and kidneys? What is the impact?
Well, Jackie, over time, high blood glucose can be a problem if your diabetes is not controlled. It can damage your blood vessels, both large and small. Now, these damages can lead to complications, as you said, like heart attack, stroke, kidney damage, blindness, nerve damage, even the risk of amputation. So when there's too much glucose in the blood, what happens is that it kind of blocks the small and the large blood vessels. So that's why over time, if the diabetes is not controlled, it can lead to heart attacks and different complications.
Now that was well explained. I got a little bit, I got a better appreciation just in that simple explanation you gave in terms of it is all about the blood vessels and the blocking of those vessels. Mm-hmm. And so that I think, like when they say a fifth grader could understand that, hey, we need to now ensure that we do things, eat foods that prevent that blockage. In terms of you spoke about some symptoms. In terms of medication, is medication mandatory to treat diabetes, or you can control your diabetes without medication? Someone says, I want to go the natural way. Would you consider that a wise choice? Can that be done? Or it's always medication first, and then you can probably transition into something that is natural? What are your views on that from
Well,
based on
Jackie,
experience and information that you have?
well, it depends on the severity of the diabetes. If it's not controlled, then the person would have to go on medications. If the person, like Dave said, he was pre-diabetic, Dave can control what he eats, and therefore he can avoid getting to the stage of diabetes. But if the person is already diabetic and they're not making good food choices, they're not exercising, then they need to be on medication in order to control it. Now, if the person start making good choices and the person start to count the carbohydrates at every meal, the person start to do physical activity, then the medication doses can decrease and eventually the person can get off the medication. But whenever somebody's diagnosed with diabetes, usually the doctor would put this person on medication, and it depends on how high the blood sugars are.
Okay, so is there, I know you're a vegetarian, is there alternatives? So you have the doctor's medicine and you have natural medicine. So I see you smiling, you know where I'm going with that question.
Yeah, I know.
How does natural medicine impact the entire, this whole scenario? What impact in natural? Are there natural medicine one can take that can reduce their risk of, and I'm not going to hold you accountable. I know you have two different worlds here.
I never advise my clients to do natural medicine, because natural can means a lot of things.
Right.
Okay, so when you say natural, there are like bush medicines and there are supplements. You
Correct.
know, the best natural medication is how you eat, is what you give, what you feed to the body. Now,
Right.
even if you eat really bad and you eat a lot of carbs and you go on some natural medication, it's not gonna make a difference, because you're still eating the unhealthy way. So I wouldn't advise people to go naturally without knowing about it and without talking to the doctor and without having some more information about it, because sometimes going natural, sometimes your body does not go well with whatever natural thing that you're taking. So you need to know more about those supplements before you go into it.
Brilliant response.
Yeah.
You wanted, because I love your response. You want to consult your doctor, before you go natural, have a discussion with your doctor, and then probably the two of you together can navigate the process.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. Donkey years ago,
Mhm.
doctors were adverse to person, doing the natural medicine. But I see more and more there being an open exchange between doctor and patient with regards to natural medicine. So they're more open. So yes, I do agree with you. First consult your doctor and then navigate it together. So thank you so much for that response. So we talk about some of this is one of those, I wasn't sure I wanted to get actively involved in this, because this is really, really a subject that is very near to me now. I recently had a sister in April of last year that passed away as a result of diabetes. And no one in the family were not aware. She used to exercise twice a day. Now, you spoke about some of the symptoms, and I just want you to go over that again, and from the backdrop of this statement that I'm about to make. So like I said, she was not a big eater necessarily. She didn't eat a lot of, from what we consider, but of course we know the Bahamian diet has a lot of starch in it. But she exercised, she did her own personal exercise in the day. And then when I come from work, we would go walking every single day, walk, talk. She drank a lot of water. So for a lot of people, right? So I noticed that she drank a lot of water, but we just naturally assume she loved water, sorry. You just assume. So a lot of these symptoms that you have here, like increased thirst, you're thinking if somebody is exercising twice a day, then yes, they're going to drink a lot of water. You see the weight gain. There was some weight gain, but it wasn't tremendous. But, you say that it's menopause, pre-menopause, menopause. So I just want you to really speak to the audience a little bit about some of these common symptoms, because it's only after the fact that we look back and we say, oh, wow, that could have been, even in terms of blindness, as you age, your eye deteriorates, and so your eyes deteriorate, or it might just be an eye, right? And so you just say it's age. So you have, as a reason for all these things that are taking place in your body. So I just want you to stress the importance of knowing your body, monitoring your body. And when you see some of these changes, as opposed to coming up with a story or thinking you know exactly why, you probably need to share this information with your doctor, because it could be something totally different from what you think it is.
Okay. So I'm very sorry about your loss. The first thing I can say is that if your blood sugars are not controlled, there's something called A1C. If your blood sugars is not controlled, you need to do that A1C every 3 months. If your blood sugars are controlled, your healthcare provider will recommend that you do it twice a year. Now, your A1C is the one that really tells you if you're diabetic or you're not, okay? So A1C is a blood test that measures how glucose gets stuck to the protein called hemoglobin inside the red blood cells. And over time, over 2 to 3 months, if all those glucose are stuck to the hemoglobin, the protein in the blood, then this person most likely is diabetic. Now, some of the symptoms that people do experience with having diabetes, and sometimes, as you say, they do make like excuses, like they're getting old or stuff like that, is first thing is thirst, urination. If you're going every minute to the restroom to urinate, then you need to talk to your doctor. You need to go see your doctor. If it's not something that is common and it's something that you usually do, then excessive urination every hour, every 30 minutes, you're on the toilet urinating, then something is not right, okay? Extreme thirst. If you're always getting hungry every time, like you just ate and you're hungry, then you need to talk to your doctor, you need to go for a visit. If you always have dry mouth, your mouth is always dry, that might be a sign of you being diabetic, or it might be a sign of your blood sugars are high or your blood sugars are low. Now, that happens with everybody. If your blood sugars are low, you're going to get dizzy. You're going to feel hungry. You're going to get lightheaded, because that happens to everybody when they're hungry. But with diabetics, you need, if it's a frequent thing that you're having, then you need to go see your doctor.
Wow. So blood sugar high or low?
Yeah, you need to go see, yeah.
Wow, that's good information. So Bahamas, I know that diabetes is a big problem. One of those major areas for us in terms of in 2023 that we really, really want to take a closer look at. I'm starting with our diet. Like she said, Dave, that's a sinful plate, Dave.
Yes,
that was just too much starch in one place.
Well, I can repent. I can repent, or I just ain't eat nothing no more for the rest of the day till tomorrow morning.
No, you can't do that, Dave. You have to have carbohydrates. You can't stay away from it. It's the amount you eat, is how much you eat, moderation and balance.
So what should I eat for the rest of the evening then? What should I go and eat? Some nuts?
You can have a snack. You can have a yogurt, because usually one yogurt like this, I don't know if you guys can see it. One yogurt is 15 grams of carbohydrate. Now, carbohydrate counting is the way to go in order to control your diabetes. You can have, Dave, like a yogurt with some nuts in it, if that's what you want to have for the rest of the day. But the thing is that diabetics need to have 3 meals a day and 1 to 2 snacks for the day.
Okay, well, I just want to say thanks. I came on the program because I felt so guilty after eating that meal. All I was saying was, boy, I got home and all I can do is drink water all day. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, Dave.
So I'm glad you mentioned something about carbohydrates. How would one know how much carbohydrate hydrates is needed?
Well, Jackie, carbohydrates, some people are not too familiar with what carbohydrates are, but carbohydrates are mostly everything we eat. The rice, the macaroni, the breads, the grains, the pancakes, the grits, the plantains, milk, fruits, fruit juices, sweets, cookies, pastries, all of those are carbohydrates. Now, everybody's portion size is different. The Lord created us differently. And the Lord gave us our own measuring tools, our hands.
All right, hands.
Yep. So everybody's hands is different. My hands are small, Dave's hands is different, Jackie, yours is different. But this is the best way to measure your portion sizes.
Okay, let's hear this. This is interesting. Go ahead.
Now, if you're going to do your carbohydrates, you're going to do your macaroni. I have some food models here. I don't know if everybody can see that, but 15 grams, this is 15 grams of carbohydrate. This is one carbohydrate. Now, women and men, the carbohydrate at each meal is different. Women need at least 3 to 4 carbohydrate at each meal. Guys need at least 4 to 5 carbohydrate at each meal. Now, if the women are really active and they exercise, doing cardio, weightlifting, they might need a little bit more carbohydrates, okay? Now, 15 grams of carbohydrate is one carbohydrate counting. This is one carb for me. So this is the fist of my hand. This is one carbohydrate for me. For you, Jackie, this would be one for your hand. This would be one carbohydrate, okay? Now, if you want to see how much protein that you're having, the palm of your hand without your fingers is 3 ounces of protein. So that's your hand, and that's 3 ounces of protein. Okay.
I'm writing. I'm writing as you go.
And for the day, we should have protein. We should have at least 9 ounces of protein, especially when we're getting older. Our muscles tend to kind of shrink, and we kind of lose muscle mass. So we need extra protein sometimes to maintain the muscle mass. But at the same time, you want to do low fat protein instead of going for the high fat proteins. Okay. Now, this is 15.
Sorry, you just spoke about high versus low. What would be some of those low fat protein and what would be considered high?
The chicken breast is a low fat protein. Now, all beans are, if you're vegan or vegetarian and you like beans and tofu, those are all, tofu is cholesterol free. Those are all good sources of protein. Now, the bean, if you're going for beef, you go more for the loin beef, the beef cuts. This bean, this black bean, is both carbohydrate and protein. So tofu as well is both carbohydrate and protein. Okay. Now this is a chicken breast, which is 3 ounces.
That's pretty small, babe. Is it so much more than that? Go right ahead.
Now, if you want to, you can distribute your meal throughout the day. If you want to have this chicken breast and this chicken leg, you can have it for the day, but you just have to have one for lunch and one for dinner. I know it's a challenge actually to count your carbohydrates, especially when you've been eating differently, and to make that switch. It's very challenging for people. And a lot of people give up because they get fed up, because they're like, okay, I can't do this. But there's always support, and there's always somebody there to help you make those choices. This is a My Plate. So this is a 9-inch plate. This is your plate. Half your plate should be fruits and vegetables for lunch. This should be just veggies, half of this. 1/4 should be your carbohydrates, and 1/4 should be your protein. Okay, so this is not what we're looking for, because I know that usually this is what people's plate look like. And we don't want that, because this is a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of in one meal. Okay, so if you're going to have breakfast, for instance, you want to have something for breakfast and you want to have toast. Now, having the whole wheat bread and the whole wheat pastas and the brown pastas, it's a little bit better in terms of it helps the slow digestion. If you just have white rice, white bread, these are the foods that tend to raise your blood sugars really fast. So having more fiber in your diet does you a big service in helping control your blood sugars. Okay, so if you want to have breakfast and you want to have 2 slices of bread, now not all breads are equal, okay? Because sometimes 1 slice of bread can be 30 grams of carbohydrates, which is 2 carbohydrates. So if you want to have, 1 bread sometimes can be 2 carbohydrates.
I didn't even hear that. Okay.
So this is 1 carbohydrate. This is 15 grams. Having 2 of those and having your protein, maybe eggs or maybe peanut butter or almond butter, this is 2 carbohydrates. Now, if you want to have a yogurt, which is 15, that's 3 carbohydrates. And that's a good breakfast. Okay. Now, if you want to switch it up and you want to have cereal, this is a cup. This is 1 carbohydrate. Now, if you're going to have milk with that, milk 8 ounces is 1 carbohydrate. So with this and milk of 8 ounces, that's 3 carbohydrates.
Cleon, you just free me in 2023. I don't have to feel guilty with my peanut butter and bread no more. Thanks very much. You free me.
No. Dave, you can have peanut butter and bread. You can have that. This is just 2 carbohydrates, but it's just how many slices of the bread that you have. If you're going to sit down for breakfast and have 6 of those, then that's a little bit too much carbohydrate at 1 meal.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to have 6 slices of bread, you can kind of distribute it throughout the day and don't have everything at one time. Okay. Now, if you want to have just an apple, which is carbohydrate, and you want to have just yogurt, that's 2 carbohydrates right there. So the yogurt does have protein because the milk does have protein in there. So you're good for the morning. For lunchtime, if your breakfast is at 7:30, by 10 o'clock, you should have a snack if you're diabetic. Now, if you're going to have a snack, you can have some nuts, either some walnuts or some pecans or some almonds. Just a handful is a serving for you. Your hands, not my hands, your hands is a serving for you, okay? So that's a good snack because it does have the protein and the carbohydrate in there. And it does have the omega-3s, which is good for heart health, okay? Now for lunch, if lunch is at around 12:31, if you want to have pasta, go for the whole wheat pasta. I know it's a different taste when you're used to having the white pasta, but the moment that you do start this, you're going to see a big difference, okay? So you're going to have your pasta. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you want to have beans with that. This is 15 grams, 1 serving. And then you have your meat with this, and then your vegetables on this side. Okay. So that's a good meal. It's, as I said, it's hard to downsize when you've been having like a really big plate. It's kind of hard to go to a size like this, but it's making healthy food choices. You want to live longer. You want to see your daughter, your son graduate. You want to see your daughter, your son walk down the aisle. So you have to make that choices, and you have to be ready. You know, you can go to the doctor, he can give you education. You can go to the dietitian, the nurse, they can give you education, but it's up to you to make that choice. You have to decide to make that choice. So I can tell you all what I have to tell you and all what I need to tell you to help you, but you have to start the process. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Once again, great knowledge. It said knowledge is power. So you spoke about exercising. You just spoke about knowing your portions. Excellent demonstration in terms of portions. So I think that's one that a lot of us would have to work on. So I'll be the first one confessing. I'm going to try some of that using the gauge that you said, user-friendly gauge. Let's talk about foods that raise your blood sugars. Are there foods that, you know, raise your blood sugar level far beyond others, or all foods are equal?
Well, not all foods are equal. Some foods will raise your blood sugars more than others. There's something called the glycemic index, and there is foods that you place in the glycemic index. It tells you how high, what foods can raise your blood sugars really fast. The white rice, potatoes, white bread, any grain that is just white, it can raise your blood sugars because it doesn't have that much fiber in there. Certain fruits can raise your blood sugars as well, especially bananas. They have a tendency, it depends on if you're having the whole banana or if you're having half of the banana. I always advise my clients to have half the banana and put the other half in the refrigerator for the next morning, or you can give it to your husband or your children. So you share the banana so you don't have the full banana, because they have a tendency to raise your blood sugars. Blueberries, it depends on how much you have. Strawberries, it depends on how much you have. It all depends on the amount that you're having, but the ones that are gonna raise your blood sugars a little bit more are the white bread, the white rice, and the potatoes. Those are known to raise the blood sugars.
Wow. That is interesting. That's great information. I know my sister she loved bananas. She probably ate one of them every day, like I said, because we did not know. And that's good. So I can go back. I see one of my family members on the Zoom call. So good information to share with family, because it's as a result. And so that's what I want to say to the Bahamas. Knowledge is power. And as a result of my sister's death, that opened up a avenue now for discussion about family health. And when you open up, you're shocked to find out that there are other persons in your family, persons who have either had it, persons who passed on, and you didn't know, because somehow we just don't talk enough about our health, our family health histories. So I want to, this 2023, as we try to get set free, I want people, not just Bahamians, people everywhere to understand that, knowledge is power. So let's seek out knowledge, and then let's share that information. When we get good information, and you have been sharing with us, I can tell you I have all kinds of little notes here for myself and my family. You've been really sharing with us pertinent information. So it is a pleasure to have you on the show today. So you spoke a little bit just now in terms about some of the foods that raise our blood level. Like I said, I didn't know about bananas. So let's say in terms of juicing, a lot of persons are now doing, that's what they do, the smoothies, etc. Mm-hmm. Is there any particular smoothie combination that is great? Maybe the greens that was great to assist in reducing diabetes. What is your take on that in terms of the smoothies that, a lot of persons have transitioned into that? So some persons eat that as opposed to, the white bread. They'll just do a smoothie. Is that a wise decision or not a wise decision from your perspective?
Well, it depends. If the person is just having smoothie for the day, are they having anything else or just smoothies for the day?
Just for the breakfast, smoothie for breakfast.
Okay.
Right, okay. For breakfast.
Okay, that's good actually. Hopefully they do have milk in there, or they have some fruits in there, which is carbohydrate, and lots of the green vegetables like the kale, your Swiss chow, stuff like that they can put in there. So that's a good combination. And putting a protein powder in there helps too, because you need that protein. Because if you just have the veggies and the fruits for breakfast, in the next hour or hour and a half, that person will be hungry. So if you stick in a protein powder, like a pea protein powder in there, that makes it even better. It'll keep you full for longer.
All right. Thank you so much. I didn't even realize we're having so much fun. How much at your meal? Grapes. So Dave is asking question. I want to go to the chat, so I'm going to let you as we go to the chat. Is there anybody in our Zoom room? We're going to open up our mics, but Dave has a question in the meantime. How much, I think he said how much grapes? Oh, I love grapes.
Sorry, yeah, someone on Facebook asked about grapes with the meals, how much they should have. It's on Facebook. Yes.
Well, it depends on the size of the grapes, because there are grapes that are really big and there are the really tiny ones. The really big grapes, like the huge ones, I would say at least 5 of them.
Wow.
The little ones, at least 7 of them, 7 to 8 of them.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I thought grape was I would consume like a whole pack almost.
Moderation and balance.
Moderation
and balance. Because that doesn't mean because it's good that you have to eat everything at one time.
You love it, so you consume it. So that's word of wisdom. Okay, so let's go to our chat. We promise you that we'll open up and entertain questions. Anyone in our Zoom room, our guest has shared some really interesting information with us, and I'm sure there's someone in our Zoom room or on Facebook. We just had a question from Facebook with a question, so now is the time. Just raise your hands and we will open up our mics. Anyone in the Zoom room?
If not, then maybe I know Shandira's on. See if Shandira you wanna add some things to what Cleon shared? If nobody in the Zoom room want to share, I'm gonna give Shandira opportunity to add some things to it.
One more thing I can say, Jackie, is that when you do go grocery shopping, I have this with me right here. When you do go grocery shopping, it's good to look at your labels. And what you're going to look at is the total carbohydrates. Now, most people think that the serving, it has to say serving at the top here. It says 1 cup of the Honey Nut Cheerios has 30 grams. 30 grams of carbohydrate. So that's 2 carbohydrate in 1 cup. So it's also good to read labels, because sometimes when people pick up a box of like crackers or biscuits, they're thinking that is the whole thing that has 30 grams. But you have to look at the serving at the top. It tells you how many and how many carbs.
Wow. That's great advice. What about vitamins? What role vitamins play in all of this?
Well, if you're eating healthy and you're having 3 meals a day, you're having a balanced meal, it's up to you if you want to take a multivitamin. It's recommended if you're lacking something in your diet, especially if you're vegan. If you're vegan, I'd recommend that you take a vitamin B12, especially vitamin D. I don't know if you guys have this in the Bahamas because you have the sunshine, but up in North, like in the US, when the winter comes, it's advised that we do take a vitamin D, especially for bones and stuff like that. So vitamin B12, vitamin D, those 2, and iron, those 3 are very important when somebody is vegan or vegetarian. But if you want to take a multivitamin, that's fine, because as we get older, our bodies it doesn't absorb the nutrition that good. So taking the multivitamin helps along the way.
What about in terms of sleep complications? If you have diabetes, is that one of the symptoms of diabetes?
Yeah, it will get you up in the night because you need to go use the restroom and you get very agitated, you cannot sleep. I would suggest you talk to your doctor. Or maybe it's not diabetes you have, maybe it's just you just have insomnia. That can happen too. But what I can recommend, the best thing is to go for a physical exam, talk to your doctor one-on-one, and let your doctor have that conversation and see how it goes.
Great advice. Great advice. So we're reaching out. We want to give everybody an opportunity to make sure if you have any questions, we want to get those questions in the interest of time. We're about 4 minutes away from 5 o'clock, the conclusion of the show. And so we don't want to end without factoring in your questions. So once again, if you're in the room, if you're on Facebook, please identify yourself so that we can include your question in this interactive, powerful, informative discussion. All right. Well, we have several questions. I think we probably can get in. Well, before we do that, just because I know that we'll soon be going off the air, tell us in terms of where they can find you. You shared good information. Someone want to reach out to you. Please give us your contact information.
Well, I do have my own practice called Utica Nutrition Services. I can give you my phone number is 315-939-9982. I am on WhatsApp. You can reach out. I do virtual counseling online. So if you need somebody that you need a dietitian to help guide you along and to do a meal plan for you, just give me a shout and I will be very happy to do that.
Thank you. Can they find you anywhere on the website, social media?
Yeah, I am on social media. It's Utica Nutrition Services on Facebook and Instagram.
Unica Nutrition Services?
Yeah, I think I gave Dave some of my business cards.
Okay. So you want to just make that available just in case persons want to reach out and contact you. Let me just check out before we conclude, make sure we didn't overlook any questions in the chat. Okay, no, one person, yes, protein also helps with stabilizing. Okay, so Shandira agreed with you. Yes, protein also helps with stabilizing blood sugar. So she reiterated what you have said. Okay, and there's the comment about grapes. Welcome to Bishop Pinda. Okay, New York, Buffalo, great to have you. And like I said, my cousin there in Turks and Caicos, great to have you. We trust that you walk away with information that will enable you to make bold, strong, courageous decisions, and that will better enable you to navigate 2023 and make 2023 the best year ever. So it's 5 o'clock. So glad to have had this opportunity to have this discussion with you. Like I said, I've been positively changed, and I'm sure those who have been listening have been positively changed by this discussion. Once again, pleasure to have you to Transforming Lives. Definitely would like to have you back sometime in the future. And I want to turn it now over to the one and only Mr. David Williams. Dave, I know you missed me saying that. So once again, over to the one and only Mr. Dave Williams.
Thank you, Jackie. Cleon, you can stay on for a few minutes. We just want to sign off the radio. Then we'll continue on Zoom for another 10, 15 minutes. Folks, thank you for listening to us this Sunday afternoon. Yes, as usual, the one and only Dave Williams. Thank you very much, Jackie. You know how to swell up my head. You've been listening to the program Transforming Lives on Global 99.5. Also, Cable TV 974. We are here every Sunday, 4 to 5. And it's good to have Jackie back under the theme, Be Free in 2023. We end the program of the radio and the cable TV by reminding us that there's nothing more important than having a relationship with Christ, not church nor denomination, but your personal relationship with Jesus Christ, who alone gives you and I eternal life. Dave Williams, Jackie Gardner, Cleon Johnson, have a wonderful afternoon. So folks, we just want to, if there's any more questions, we just, before Cleon leave, and anybody else want to ask any pressing questions, we're off the radio and we're off the television, just those of us on Zoom. There are still persons on Facebook. I want to thank Dr. Clarice Ingram. I want to thank Erla, a friend of mine. She's all the way down there in Barbados. and all of the other persons watching us live on Facebook and those who are joining us on YouTube. So any final question before Cleanne share her final remarks? Okay, well, I guess there's no questions then. I don't know, Jackie, anything you want to say? Cleanne, anything you want to say? And then we'll sign off.
Well, I got this comment. It says a lot of people are pre-diabetic and they don't even know. What advice would you guys believe? Haven't shared all that information to increase person knowledge. What would be your suggestion, your response to that question?
Well, what I would say is that kind of watch what you eat and your portion sizes. Because as you said, people are pre-diabetic and they're no idea that they are, because sometimes they don't have any symptoms. The only thing is the blood glucose when they do go to the doctor, and if they check it, then they'll find out if they're pre-diabetic. But controlling your portion sizes, exercising, putting more vegetables into your diet. I noticed I was in the Bahamas with my husband and I went to Checkers. I think it was Checkers.
Yes,
Yeah.
Checkers.
And I looked at the menu and I said, oh my goodness. I said, it was just carbs and meat. And there was not one vegetable. I'm like, I couldn't order anything because there is no vegetable. And
Wow.
I think incorporating more vegetable into your diet, more leafy green vegetables into your diet, making your plate half vegetables when you're eating, and just watching your portion sizes. That's going to help actually you getting into the pre-diabetic stage, because most people, they have no idea they're pre-diabetic, and that's what moves them into the diabetic stage because they have no idea. So it's good to go to your doctor and get a check. You need to do that at least once a year or twice a year. This is the main thing that can keep you that can make you know that you're pre-diabetic before it leads to diabetes.
And I think the last one, I have one other one.
Yeah.
In terms of, you would hear a person say that he experienced a spike. What does that mean when they say he or she experienced a spike?
A spike in blood glucose. So the blood sugars are high.
And at that particular time, you can fall out. What can happen? What are some of the...
Well, they can pass out. So
Okay.
sometimes when you're diabetic, it's good to have a medical bracelet so people know that you're diabetic, so they know what to do. That's a good way knowing that the person is diabetic. So, and if the person is diabetic, they need to check their blood sugars 2 hours after they have a meal. Now, with technology, it's so advanced now, you don't need to poke yourself and check your blood sugars anymore. There's this sensor that you put on you and you connect it to your phone and it reads your blood sugars.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's a little advanced now where people don't have to keep poking themselves every time to find out their blood sugars.
That's excellent. Excellent. Once again, it's been my pleasure. And I wish you the very, very best in 2023, that you will walk away from this program free, experience a greater degree of freedom as a result of connecting with transforming lives. Jackie Gardner, back over to you, David Williams.
Okay, so thank you, Cleanne. Thanks very much. I trust that we will be able to have you on as a guest some other time. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for your husband and I taking good care of me while they're up there in New York. I look forward to joining you before the year end. Okay, any final words you want to leave with us?
Just thank you for having me, and I hope that the viewers who have listened can make choices, better choices, and just one day at a time. Just do it. You can't do it do it at once. Just take your time and do it slowly until you get to where you have to go, especially just asking the Lord for strength that you can make those food choices, because sometimes, as I said, it's difficult. So asking for strength and having somebody to support you meanwhile you make those changes in your life can make a very big difference.
Thank you. I will make sure go now. I can eat something else. There is some peanut butter and bread or some nuts or something, or some yogurt, but I'll definitely have something else to eat for the rest of the day.
Okay, Dave.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
One time for joining us. Looking forward Lily May Longley say thank you, Mr. Williams, for invite. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing all of you next week, same time, same station, Global 99.5 Cable TV 9.